watching on YouTube and all the other video channels that you could be watching from. I'm Natural Bliss. I'm an MC, a scientist, researcher. I did my undergraduate at Boston University, and right now I'm actually working on my master's in the realm of epigenetics. So today I'd like to bring you some information, and more than bringing information, this is going to be a discussion. We're going to be mostly discussing race and how it, the pros and cons of the race discussion. We're not going to be per se discussing race. We're going to be more or less delving into the research that is going on into race and trying to understand why that is relevant, why it's relevant to us, the impact it has on us, again, melanin dominant people, black people, African American people, whatever you want to call us, indigenous people, tribal people, native people, whatever moniker you want to use. So that's what we're going to be looking into, how the impact of the race discussion on us. So thank you again for tuning in, and hope you enjoy this video. And we are sponsored by C Productions, Truth Ciphers. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. And please feel free to like the video on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Also check us out on Facebook. Natural Bliss on Facebook, C Productions Facebook. All right. So today we're going to go a little deeper into the discussion of race. We're not going to discuss the research being done on race, but we're going to discuss what is being talked about and how it impacts us. Race, they say, few concepts have tarnished the history of people and societies as much as race has tarnished that history. But race didn't tarnish history. That's one thing, you know, those who claim that race has tarnished history, that's a cop-out. Race did not tarnish history. Humans did. Because race itself is a concept. It cannot take action. People take action. So whoever came up with the concept of race, then used it, created a science behind it, then used it as the basis to take a number of actions and pass a certain number of laws to categorize people and separate and divide people by race, are the people who have tarnished history. Again, the people who use race as a tool and a sort of established concept, a truth upon which they must act. And in that act, destroy a certain group of people, attempt to destroy a certain group of people, are the people who have tarnished history. Race did not tarnish history. Humans, or what humans do, is what tarnishes history. So, upon having created the concept of race, why was the concept of race even created to begin with? That's what we need to look into. Why was race brought about? Why was this concept so relevant to those who made it a part of the lexicon of the Western world? Why was it so relevant that that word be in your dictionary? Why was it relevant that you utilize that word? If there wasn't a reason, if they did not feel that there was a reason to separate people and create a whole science behind this word and it's the notion of it. So those who felt the need to identify other people in the world as a particular group of people based upon their culture, their appearance, their language. I mean, that notion of separation already existed. That's why you have different tribes, different clans of people. And that existed long before the advent of language or any other what you call civilized modes of life came about. The notion of identifying people by their culture was a natural thing. It's a natural thing. You see a different group of people, they speak different, they speak a different language, they dress different, they talk different, and they live in a different geographical location on the planet as you. So automatically, your group of people identifies them as something. And they may introduce themselves with a certain name. Usually those were the people we call tribes and clans, right? And we're talking about years ago. We're talking about in history, okay? However, the notion of superiority over one race or group of people based on culture, ways of thinking, language, behavior, religion, all of the above, that was a new concept. And that concept is what was destructive. That concept is what we should have gotten rid of as we went into the modern world. As we became integrated, so to say, as blacks integrated into white society. Blacks fought to have that concept annihilated. However, for the most part, majority of white society hangs on to that concept to the point where that word still remains. So now we're in modern times, okay? Post-slavery, separations of race. Separation of race gave you slavery, right? So let's go back a little bit and talk about that before we delve into the modern times. Let's go back into how the notion of race became so destructive and why it was something that should have been done away with if we were to integrate successfully in this world. The notion of race, one, or superiority based on race, is highly destructive, because what European or Western culture did, and we can say white culture did, based on that notion of race, was to say the Negro is inferior. The Negro is stupid because the Negro sings and chants and dances around to his gods. The Negro worships multiple gods. First, when the pagan Caucasian came upon the Negro in Africa the first time, they came in their encounter with us. We had black Egyptian civilizations that had a monotheistic religion, so to say, who worshipped one god. And the pharaohs like Amen-Ra, Amenhotep, who came with the notion of one god, the sun god. That was our creation, the idea of worshiping one god. But you also had different cultures in Africa who believed in many deities. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's still so many groups in the world that still worship many deities. Because what is a deity but a force of nature? Not this nature, but a force of the universe, I should say. Okay? A force that you understand as this source of life everywhere. So that force can be separated into many different sub-forces that can be called deities in their own right. Again, that's their choice to do that. But when the Caucasian, later on when the Caucasian came upon these many cultures in Africa that worshipped many gods, it was deemed as wrong. Suddenly we were pagan. They had learned the monotheistic view from us, which is the basis for their early Christian religions. Because the Greeks studied that in ancient Egypt. They studied the monotheistic religions and adopted that and claimed it today, which they converted today into modern Christianity. passed it on to the Romans, and so on and so forth, which is why you have Christianity now. It came from that. It came from the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptian and African views of the world in religion. But they don't claim that. They won't tell you that. But if you do your research, you will find that out. So fast forward, so they've adopted that from us. But then later on, when they encounter other tribes in Africa that have this polytheistic religious view, they start, their missionaries start to impose the monotheistic view upon them and telling them that the way they worship is pagan. But there's nothing wrong with the way you worship. Okay? Many roads lead to the source. Many roads. As long as it is righteous. But they saw it as a means. The main reason why they imposed the Christian religion upon these people, the monotheistic Christian religion upon these people, was a means to control them. It wasn't so much that they knew the people were wrong, not at all, for their polytheistic views, many gods, belief in many gods. It was just a means to control a people that they didn't understand, or whatever, for whatever reason it was. So they said that their singing to these gods, and their singing period, was wrong. It was pagan, it was evil, it was devil worship. They said our religions was devil worship, praying to the, out in the open air, to the trees, or to the sun god, or to the moon, or for rain and all of that. And they did the same with the Native Americans. If you study the patterns of imperialism, you will see that wherever the European has gone, he has done the same, utilized the same formula to control these native peoples and these tribal peoples. So